So now we're going to explore what we call the lumbopelvic ranges of motion, which is learning how to feel the end range for when we're fully extended in our low back, meaning at the end range of when our lordosis is at its maximum, and when we're fully flexed, meaning when we flattened our back such that our lordosis is reduced to its maximum amount, and then we're going to come back into neutral. And we're going to learn that in several different positions. Now, the key when you're learning this is what I don't want you doing is bending forward or bending backwards when we do this. We want to learn how to isolate and control the movement of your low back and what we call the lumbopelvic range of motion. So when I talk about rolling our pelvis forward, that will increase the lordosis in our spine. And when I talk about rolling our pelvis backwards, that will decrease the lordosis or flatten our back, and then we find the neutral position. The first position we're going to try and find neutral spine in is what we call the hook line position, which is laying on your back with your hips and knees at 45 degrees. Then what you do is you roll your pelvis forwards, which increases the lordosis or extends your spine. Then you roll your pelvis backwards, which presses your low back or your spine into the floor. That's what we call the flexed position. And then you come back to where you feel it in neutral. That's your neutral spine position. The next position we want to try and explore neutral in is still on your back, but with your legs extended out. Now again, what you do is you roll your pelvis forward to increase the lordosis, and then you roll your pelvis backwards to press your back into the floor, and then you come back to where you feel a nice neutral position. Next, you're going to explore it in the standing position. You roll your pelvis forward to increase the curve of your spine. Roll your pelvis backwards to flatten your back, and then go to neutral and memorize what that position feels like. The next position we're going to explore neutral spine is in seated position. You're going to start by rolling your pelvis forward to increase the lordosis or the curve in your spine. Then you're going to roll your pelvis backwards so you flatten your spine, and now you're going to come back to neutral. You want to memorize what that feels like. The next position we're going to explore our lumbopelvic range of motion is in what we call the quadruped position, or kneeling on all fours. First, you roll your pelvis forward to extend your low back and increase the lordosis, and then you roll your pelvis backwards to flatten your back, and then you drop into neutral spine. And the final position is kneeling. And again, you want to roll your pelvis forward to increase the lordosis, and then you want to roll your pelvis backwards to flatten your back, and then find neutral. So I want you to get used to rolling your pelvis backwards and forwards. I don't want you bending or extending your trunk. You want to learn how to move your low back without the rest of your body moving.